Triggers, a really hot topic when it comes to nicotine and cannabis consumption. If you were anything like me, just waking up and taking a breath of air was enough to trigger you to consume nicotine or cannabis. Literally, in my case, just existing was enough of a trigger for me to consume substances. Driving in my car, relaxing after work, a moment of stress, a moment of happiness, a moment of joy, a moment of sadness, the completion of mundane tasks or the completion of complex tasks were all triggering events for me. I spent 9 years trying to avoid triggers when it came to nicotine and cannabis consumption, and at the end of the day, it always failed. It failed me every single time because the reality is when it comes to triggers, there is only one trigger, and that trigger is you. No external event, no external thing, no external situation will ever trigger you to the degree that you trigger yourself when it comes to nicotine and cannabis consumption, because you are the trigger and you can't escape yourself. It's not some external event. Triggers are associated with internal beliefs, and the only way to escape triggers is to change your belief system. If you don't understand this concept, you're going to spend your entire life avoiding people, places, and things, living the rest of your life in fear of relapse, aka the conscious decision to a return to substance use, consuming nicotine or consuming cannabis. You're going to spend the rest of your life isolating, avoiding social situations, and trying to stay away from triggering events. Instead of living, you're going to be consolidating, and that's not what I want to happen to you. If you don't want to spend the rest of your life hiding, relying on willpower not to consume substances, if you actually want to spend the rest of your life living to your true potential, you're in the right place. Federal legalization is coming. What is your plan? If you're someone who finds yourself constantly triggered to consume cannabis, you best have one. And today, what I'm going to do is help you develop that plan and help you deconstruct triggers. If you're a high-performance individual and you're new here, my name's Dr. Frank. We have a science-backed method that has a 98% success rate at helping people quit nicotine and cannabis in as little as 48 hours, privately without disrupting your public life or image and without relapse. I put a link in the video description where you can learn more about that. At the end of today's video, I'm going to give you guys a little bonus tip that I share with our one-on-one clients that's really going to help you out, and it's going to help you use triggers to your advantage versus your disadvantage. But I'm going to share that at the end of the video because you have to get the mindset, the belief construct surrounding triggers correct first before you can implement in that technique. I want to start by sharing a client story with you guys. I was working with a high-level professional musician who was very known for their skills with the guitar. And this individual had gone to one of these celebrity rehabs, right? And they were told at the rehab that playing the guitar was a major trigger for their cannabis substance use. And the counselor there, whomever they were working with, told them they had to stop playing the guitar. Now, this was insane because the guitar was legitimately this person's livelihood. But they were told, listen, you can't play the guitar anymore. You can't play the guitar while you're here because that really triggers you to consume cannabis and some other substances that they were struggling with. When this client had enrolled with us, I was utterly appalled to hear this. After speaking to them for a period of time and explaining to them that a guitar had absolutely zero ability to trigger them to drive to a dispensary, buy a pre-roll, and then consume it, to spark it up, inhale it, exhale it, they were like, yeah, you're right. Why is that I was told that was a trigger? Upon talking to them, we concluded that they strongly believed that cannabis was helping them with their creativity when it came to playing the guitar. So it wasn't that playing the guitar was the triggering event. It was their belief system, the perceived benefits that they got from consuming cannabis, the perceived benefit of creativity that was triggering them to want cannabis when playing the guitar. Again, the external thing, the guitar, was not the trigger. their internal belief system, the internal construct they have surrounding the benefits of cannabis consumption is what would trigger them to consume cannabis when playing the guitar. The problem wasn't the guitar. The problem was their belief system, something that after 60 days of the rehab was never appropriately addressed. I had another client that I mentioned in another video that was a similar story. They were abusing stimulants, specifically cocaine. They were chain smoking cigarettes, and they had a cannabis substance use disorder. They were a large marketing agency owner, and they had gone to a private rehab facility for male entrepreneurs. And in this rehab, they were told, listen, you have to completely undo the addiction personality that you have, right? You're a highly addictive person, and we have to make sure you stay away from all addictions if you want to succeed at this. So they told the person, you can't use cocaine, you can't smoke cannabis, and you have to stop smoking cigarettes. And they had told this person at the rehab, not only did they tell them that relapse was going to be part of the process, but they informed them that if they consumed one of those drugs, they were going to be triggered to consume the other ones as well. This ultimately became the person's reality. After getting out of the rehab and spending, I think it was upwards of $60,000, they eventually returned to smoking cigarettes. And the moment they smoked a cigarette, they wound up texting their dealer, getting cocaine, and then they found themselves at a recreational dispensary buying cannabis shortly thereafter. When he enrolled with our programs, he had said, what brought me back into this was smoking a cigarette. And one of the first things I said to them was, wait a minute. So the cigarette triggered you to pick up your phone, text your dealer, get in your car, drive to the dispensary, take time picking out a specific strain of cannabis and then going home and consuming it? I was like, just to be clear, the cigarette was physically responsible for you taking those actions. And on the call, I still remember the expression on their face. They looked at me like, oh my gosh, I just realized how stupid that sounds. And I had said to them, why are you thinking that way? Now, in their case, the triggering event was surrounded with the belief that they had this unique addictive personality. And unfortunately, that belief was reinforced by the rehab facility that they had attended. And what occurred? That belief eventually became a reality. Once this person fully began to grasp, once he understood that a cigarette was incapable, physically incapable of forcing him to text his dealer to get cocaine and forcing him to get in his car and drive to a dispensary and purchase cannabis, it was like the light switch moment that we see occur with so many of our clients went off. Now, it wasn't that I wanted this person to keep smoking cigarettes, but I certainly wanted them to understand that the only thing that was triggering them was the belief system that had been instilled in their mind when it comes to drug consumption. You are the trigger. External things don't trigger you. Only your belief and your perception of value surrounding the use of that substance is triggering. I can walk by a dispensary today and have zero cravings, have zero desire to go in there and purchase something because I see no value in that drug. I've worked very hard to devalue the substance. The only reason an email promotion, a dispensary, a billboard, or being in a social situation would trigger me to consume a substance would be because the belief that I have associated with that substance consumption. No one influences me. No one influences you more than you influence yourself. And if you go into this with the wrong mindset or a level of misinformation that's often provided today when it comes to addiction recovery and substance use prevention, this quitting journey is going to be significantly more challenging than it needs to be. Just today, in light of filming this video, I had a recent client who enrolled with us send me on WhatsApp a screenshot. They were at a gas station, and this was like right after we had spoke on our first call about quitting cannabis. And there was a big billboard, you can see it here in the photo, that said, free pre-roll with a purchase of $70 or more of gas. So this client sent me this and they were kind of like, of course, this is the sign that I'm going to see. Now, I had sent them some voice notes addressing, just culturally why we're seeing things like this and this deceptive marketing techniques that are being used here to manipulate the person. And they responded to me and they said, look, I was really proud of myself. I actually had zero temptation to go in there and get a pre-roll, despite the fact that I recently quit, despite the fact that I had struggled for several years with cannabis substance use. I had zero temptation. And I see this time and time again. When people understand that they are the solution to their substance use, when they understand how to fully use the character traits and the tools that are already accessible to them, quitting drugs becomes effortless. Cannabis and nicotine and other substances can suddenly become irrelevant. And I've seen this happen time and time again with clients that we work with, just like this individual. The perceived level of value that you give the substance and the expected outcomes are the triggering event. Your beliefs, your thoughts, your behavioral patterns are the triggering event. It is something that you are in complete control of. That and potentially a high level of misinformation that you've been exposed to prior to watching this video today. But hopefully in today's video, I'm helping you deconstruct what you've previously learned. And again, look, if you're a high performance individual, maybe you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, an executive, or a high level professional, we have a science-backed method that has a 98% client success rate at helping people quit nicotine and cannabis in as little as 48 hours. No group meetings, no having to admit that you're a powerless addict, and we do it privately without disrupting your public life and image, and without relapse. Again, I put a link in the video description and pinned comment where you can learn more about that. Now for the bonus tip, and I'm hesitant to share this on YouTube. I know that my team is going to kill me because I give away so much information, but you can actually get triggers to work in your favor. So I'll give you an example related to my own life. I used to have a serious substance use disorder when it came to stimulants, specifically caffeinated beverages, and I had a small stint with Ritalin and Adderall and other prescription stimulants that I don't talk a lot about on my channel. But one of the things was I would always use these stimulants prior to working out. I would wake up, I'd drink a Monster Energy drink, I'd take a pre-workout, maybe I would take a Ritalin or something like that, and then I would get to exercising. And this drug consumption was the triggering event for me to go to the gym and work out. But what I realized after quitting was that I could set up a different system of triggers, a different system of events or cues, as I like to call them, to get me to go partake in healthy behaviors. When I quit consuming stimulants, I had completely lost the motivation to exercise and go to the gym, compounded by the fact I was suffering from CHS and a whole host of other health problems from my cannabis substance use and nicotine abuse. But nonetheless, I completely lost my desire for exercise when I stopped using stimulants. What I eventually learned was that the stimulants were not so much giving me the superpower to go to the gym, but rather they were a cue for me to initiate exercise. They were a trigger for me to go do something. So I eventually replaced that pre-workout drink with a mixture of beetroot juice powder, electrolyte powder, and some creatine capsules. And that suddenly became the cue, the triggering event for me to go and work out. It was me telling my brain, hey, you consume this thing, now it's time to go take action. I replaced a negative, unhealthy cue that was destroying my life with a positive cue to go partake in a positive activity, getting in better shape, building up my confidence, losing weight that I had put on, well, really building muscle back that I had lost by the end of my substance use, but also losing like the skinny fat weight that had developed throughout my substance use. I also do this towards the end of my day. We work with a lot of parents. We work with a lot of high-level professionals who have 2, 3 kids. They're married, very busy lives. And they'll say to me, I wrap up work and I just need that moment to myself. I just need that reset button when it comes to getting ready to go hang out with the kids and round 2 of my duties as a parent. I worked all day, now I got to do the parent duties. And this is where they'd usually consume cannabis or have a cigarette or have a drink before round 2. And what I often to say to them is, look, we can pick a different system of cues that we can utilize to prepare you for round 2 with the kids. That cue doesn't have to be cannabis, because cannabis isn't giving you some reset superpower. Nicotine isn't giving you some reset superpower. Alcohol isn't helping you relax so you're ready with the kids. It's a cue, it's a trigger telling you that you're getting ready for that next thing in the day. And we can replace that with significantly better habit loops and cues. This is how we start to use triggers to our advantage. When we talk about triggers in substance use, we often talk about them in negative things. And never do I hear about people implementing a positive set of triggers into a person's life to move them closer towards accomplishing their goals or their actual potential when it comes to their families, their careers, their physical health, their mental health, and their finances. Doing this correctly can literally make you a better parent. It can legitimately make you a lot more money in your career. You can radically change the life that you are living today if you have the right systems and the right beliefs implemented into this journey. And that's exactly what we help people do. If you enjoyed today's video, I put another video together for you where I talk a little bit about the character traits that I have seen people develop as they practice the discipline of sobriety. And these are character traits that I have seen literally hundreds of people over the years that we have helped develop in the process, in the discipline of quitting cannabis and nicotine. So this is something that you can really look forward to if this is a journey that you're embarking on. So why don't you follow me right into that next video?